Let's get right into it. Number 10. AOL Free Trial CDs. Back in the 90s, these little plastic discs were basically digital cocaine. AOL was pumping them out so fast, they were using up half of the world's CD production. These things were everywhere. In your cereal box, at the movie store, even falling from the sky like confetti at the Super Bowl. And people were hooked on these free hours of internet like it was digital crack. You'd get this shiny disc in the mail promising 50 free hours, and suddenly you're staying up until 4 a.m. in chat rooms talking to Hot Girl 95, who was definitely a 45-year-old man named Chuck. These CDs were so valuable that AOL grew from 200,000 users to 25 million. That's like going from a small town to a small country of people, all sharing one painfully slow connection. But then broadband came along, and suddenly these precious gateway drugs to the internet became about as valuable as a plastic frisbee. Now they're sitting in drawers everywhere, serving as emergency coasters or makeshift mirrors for people trying to fix their hair. Number 9. Beanie Babies. The 90s saw grown adults fighting over stuffed animals like it was Black Friday every day. People were literally treating them like stocks. Some folks even divorced over their Beanie Baby collections. There's this famous court case where a divorcing couple had to divide up their collection on the courtroom floor while the judge watched. The company behind these toys, Tie Inc., was evil genius-level smart about marketing them. They'd retire certain Beanie Babies without warning. This made people panic, buy them like toilet paper during a pandemic. Parents wouldn't even let their kids play with them. They'd keep them in special plastic cases, like they were handling radioactive material. Some people took out loans to buy more Beanie Babies. Others cleared out their kids' college funds. There were even reports of people trading their cars for rare Beanie Babies. When the bubble burst, it burst hard. Those same Beanie Babies that were worth thousands now sit in thrift stores for 50 cents. Your retirement fund is now worth less than a Happy Meal. Number 8. The old piano. Picture this. Spending the equivalent of a new Tesla on something that's now harder to get rid of than that weird smell in your grandma's basement. That's exactly what happened with pianos. Back in the day, having a piano in your house was like having a Rolex, a Harvard degree, and a pedigree show dog all rolled into one massive wooden flex. It wasn't just about the music. It was about showing everyone you were fancy enough to spend a fortune on something that took up half your living room. But now these once precious status symbols are basically furniture with extra steps. People are literally begging others to take their pianos away for free on Facebook Marketplace. And even when they're free, nobody wants them. Moving companies actually groan when they hear the word piano. It's like telling your friends you're moving and need help. Suddenly everyone has a mysterious back injury. It's gotten so bad that people are literally breaking apart these antique masterpieces just to get rid of them. Imagine taking a sledgehammer to something your great-grandparents probably spent their life savings on. These days it's basically a 500-pound paperweight that plays music nobody wants to hear. Number 7. Waterbeds. The 70s and 80s treated owning a waterbed like having a Lamborghini in your bedroom. These weren't just beds. They were status symbols that could cost as much as a car. But like most things from the 70s, including disco and bell-bottom pants, waterbeds didn't age well. The problem started when people realized these luxury beds were basically giant water balloons waiting to pop. Imagine waking up at 3 a.m., floating down your hallway, because your fancy bed decided to spring a leak. These beds were so heavy that some apartment buildings had to ban them because they could literally crash through the floor. That's right, your fancy bed could turn into an impromptu visit to your downstairs neighbor. And some genius actually tried making these with Jell-O instead of water, because nothing says good night's sleep like being swallowed by 200 gallons of wiggly strawberry dessert. Today, finding a waterbed is like finding a flip phone in a tech store. They've gone from must-have luxury item to that thing your weird uncle still owns and won't shut up about. Number 6. The phone book. 1878. Connecticut publishes the world's first phone book. It had just 50 listings, which is fewer names than your ex has blocked on Instagram. But these books weren't just any old directories. They were like Google before Google existed. Getting listed first was such a big deal that businesses would name themselves things like AAA Auto Repair or AAAA Plumbing. Businesses were doing SEO before computers were even a thing. These books were so valuable that people would actually fight over the advertising spots. People used them as doorstops, step stools, and even emergency fire starters. It's probably the only book that's been used to kill more bugs than it has been read. But then the internet showed up and turned these precious directories into instant trash. Now, when that yellow brick of paper lands on your doorstep, it goes straight to recycling. From essential household item to environmental waste in one generation flat. Number 5. S&H Green Stamps. Here's a wild thought. Americans once turned their spit into furniture. That's basically what happened with S&H Green Stamps. You'd go shopping, and the store would give you these little green stamps. You'd take these stamps home and start licking them like a crazy person to stick them in special books. Get enough books filled up, and you could trade them for actual stuff, from toasters to entire living room sets. These stamps were so popular that by the 1960s, about 80% of American households were sitting around licking stamps like it was their second job. It was like a nationwide addiction, except instead of getting high, you got household appliances. These things were basically a second currency. People would spend hours meticulously organizing these stamps, carefully licking each one, making sure they were perfectly aligned in their books. All that spit, all that time, all those paper cuts on their tongues, just to get a new blender. Today, those stamp books are mostly gathering dust in attics or being thrown away. Most are worth less than the paper they are printed on. Millions of hours of human labor, reduced to garage sale fodder. Number 4. Fine china sets. Your grandparents probably ate off plates worth more than your car. That was the reality with fine china sets. These weren't just any plates. They were the supreme streetwear of the 1950s. Getting a fine china set as a wedding gift back then was like getting a down payment for a house today. These sets were so precious that families would only use them for special occasions, which meant they sat in a cabinet for 364 days a year, waiting for that one time when Aunt Betty visited. Imagine dropping a plate and instantly becoming the black sheep of the family for 3 generations. But now these precious sets are basically taking up space in thrift stores everywhere. Thrift stores are so overwhelmed with donated china sets that they're starting to turn them away. Some people are even breaking them up to make mosaic art because they can't sell them. Imagine telling your great-grandmother that her precious wedding china ended up as part of someone's DIY garden project. These plates went from family heirlooms to craft supply rejects. Number 3. Defunct stock certificates. There's something darkly funny about holding a piece of paper that was once worth millions, but now you can't even use it as toilet paper. Back in the day, stock certificates weren't just boring pieces of paper with numbers on them. These things were works of art, with fancy designs that would make Leonardo da Vinci jealous. Take Pan Am, for example. Their certificates had detailed pictures of planes and clouds, making air travel look like some magical adventure. And then there's Enron, whose certificates probably should have had a picture of a dumpster fire instead of their fancy corporate logo. When these companies were at their peak, people would frame these certificates and hang them on their walls like trophies. But when companies like Enron crashed and burned, these precious pieces of paper became worthless overnight. Imagine going to bed thinking you're rich, and waking up to find out your fancy wall decoration is worth less than the frame it's in. The weird part is these worthless pieces of paper are now collector's items. The same certificates that ruined people's lives are now being sold to collectors who hang them on their walls as conversation pieces. Financial disasters turned into office decor. Capitalism at its finest. Number 2. War bonds. World War II rolls around and the government basically launches the world's first crowdfunding campaign. They basically said, "Hey citizens, want to loan us some money? We promise to pay you back eventually." And people actually went for it. It was like a GoFundMe for bombing Nazi Germany. These bonds were sold everywhere. You could buy them at the post office, at banks, even from Girl Scouts. The government got really creative with their marketing too. They had Hollywood stars touring the country saying stuff like, "Buy bonds or Hitler wins." The funny part is, these bonds were actually terrible investments. The interest rates were lower than inflation, but people didn't care because it was patriotic. Patriotism, when you're happy to lose money for your country. Number 1. Aluminum bars. This one's going to blow your mind. Serving your dinner guests with gold utensils because you're too poor to give them the fancy stuff. That's exactly what happened at Emperor Napoleon III's dinner parties. Back in the 1800s, aluminum was so rare and expensive that it was worth more than gold. The emperor would serve his most honored guests with aluminum cutlery, while the less important folks had to settle for plain old gold. Gold was the budget option. It was so valuable that in 1884, they put an aluminum cap on top of the Washington Monument to show off. That tiny pyramid of aluminum cost about what a house would cost today. But then 2 guys, working separately, figured out how to extract aluminum using electricity. The price dropped faster than a lead balloon. Today, we throw away aluminum cans without thinking twice. Every time you toss a Red Bull can, you're discarding what would have been Napoleon's crown jewels. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.